Amazing. Thanks a lot, Kat. So yeah, I'll get started. I think so others can join in a bit later, so we can get started. Uh, yeah. Just double checking it's recording. So yeah, I mean thanks a lot for everyone joining for this course. And so I have like sort of high level sort of content we'll go through in the next few weeks, but the plan is to like have a discussion ongoing, and towards the end I want to like leave some time so that we can ask a lot of questions. And also, if there are areas that you're interested in learning, I want to like add some sessions, probably towards the end. So anything that is not covered during these main sessions, I want to try and see if we can add some sessions based on everybody's interest. So I want to like make sure obviously we cover the fundamentals, but at the same time, depending on given it's like a relatively smaller class, we can sort of go in deep in certain areas and discuss a bit more. So that's the whole purpose of having relatively small classes. So yeah, so the focus today is like to learn AI tools in a product managers, somebody who manages products point of view, and how do you sort of leverage those AI tools within your sort of workflows. You could be from technical background, non-technical background. However, the idea is that you can sort of leverage AI tools to get things done much faster, especially if you are working with engineers, if you are working with technical people, you will be much more equipped right now to build things much faster scale, so that you can sort of, yeah, definitely rather than going with an idea, you can go to them with a product already built. And if you already have a product, how do you get it to production and get users to use it? So that's the whole purpose of these sessions, and the entire course's purpose. So you are in week one, so I think like super exciting, and so we'll be sort of going deep into a lot of tools like things like Lovable, Cursor, NA10, Supabase, things like that. So there are like different tools that we can use to build AI systems, whether it's agentic systems or like traditional full stack apps, but using AI. So that's the so like there are a broad set of tools that we're gonna like look into. But the idea is to like um, sort of build things together live, fail together as well, and figure out like how to debug those things, and then sort of learn as you go. Also, um, there will be like different levels of sort of experiences, domain knowledge. So I think like I try my best to keep it broad as possible. But if there are specific questions you want to know, feel free to ask it. I have checkpoints in the middle so that we can sort of go in deep these certain questions. But yeah, so that's a general sort of the flow of the session that we have. So today's session, gonna try and go through some of these. Probably will go a bit more than 1 hour for sure, but I'm gonna try and like cover these checkpoints. So the idea is today is to like understand prompting, prompting basics. I'm 100% sure you guys know a lot of prompting using a lot of tools with ChatGPT, any kind of AI tool that you're using. But we're gonna like go a bit more in detail on how to like think about prompting, especially for app development. And we'll sort of build a live app using Lovable, and also look into connecting Supabase as well, so that you have both these like how to get a working product from a, like a simple idea how to do that, and spend a bit of more time on advanced prompting, and also look into Lovable's feature. So Lovable is a um, app that you can use to build applications from prompts. So you use so if you have an idea, you can directly go from a prompt to a production grade application, and so you can have something ready to give for users. So the 80% of the focus will be on Lovable, and then we'll look at the AI tools landscape, what sort of tools out there, and how to look at them in a systematic way so that you understand what's out there, and how like whenever something new comes up, how do you sort of assess that to be used within your sort of workflows. And I want to like give an assignment at the end, and would love to see what you guys build next week, and bit of Q&A as well. Um, I'll also I got everybody's introductions. I want to like give a quick introduction about myself. So this is my sort of quick summary. Grew up in Sri Lanka, moved to the UK for my studies and for work. Was previously leading AI at Main Street Partners, which is a London-based investment advisory firm, and I currently advising quite a few startups in SF and London in the AI space. I run my own startup as well called Snapdrum, which is an AI consultancy firm building end-to-end AI solutions. I've taught over 5,000 students in AI space and also computer science space. I've got a PhD and postdoc in AI and machine learning, and I've got like previous engagements in these um, known institutes in the past, like different capacities. Um, so so feel free to sort of engage with me like during this class, beyond this class, like it's going to be like sort of a collaborative exercise that we learn these tools together. So just want to like throw a quick question at you. Feel free to yeah, Dan, go ahead. Yes. Recording for sure. There is no note taking app if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's recorded, yes. Um, yeah, quick question. So feel free to use the chat. So like because I already had the introduction. So want to like try and understand like what you guys use AI for. And like yeah, feel free to use the chat. Make a discussion like what sort of tool that you use. And yeah, cool. I think yeah, amazing set of tools. Yeah, Claude. Yeah, I think like Claude has a very loyal follower base, and I like Claude as well, a lot more, especially with coding stuff like Cursor. When it comes to Cursor, I always pick one of the Claude models as much as possible because it's relatively good for coding. But yeah. Yeah, then you got like a really interesting set of tools. But yeah, I think anything one of those most powerful tools that's out there to build like very sophisticated sort of agents. And you can build like really quick prototypes and it can scale to a certain extent. But like yeah, it's quite useful to like have anything. Amazing. I see quite a few tools, but yeah, that's like maybe not cover all of them, but like we'll touch base and like would love to see everybody's experience on different tool set. Um, so, so this is like the focus for the next 4 weeks on a high level, but like I'll like add, as I mentioned, like some of these towards the end. If you guys want specific areas covered, I want to like make sure that we have some time for that as well. So today it's about building sort of an application, production ready application with a very simple prompt and like how do you sort of understand prompting. Week two, it's got into Supabase in detail, N810 workflows and how to build agents. And week three, it's about like how do you build rack systems, like and a bit more into vector databases. So these are around like how you sort of so you might have seen this a lot, like the word rack thrown around, like which is one of those um, type of AI systems, I would say, that helps you to extend like a normal traditional ChatGPT style agent where you with your knowledge base, etc. So, and we'll go into like vector databases a bit more. How do you sort of connect these into your rack system and in detail? And last week it's about like sort of focusing on building something by yourself, like some sort of a product, so that we use some of the skills that we learned throughout the few weeks and like get something out to the wild so that we can sort of show it, have a showcase. And if time permits, I'll add a bit more content into this, depending on what you're interested in sort of covering. But yeah, so this is the general roadmap for us. Yeah, so I think like this all started the the AI based sort of the programming, the term vibe coding. This is like it's not a very great word right now, like but when it came like in the first year, it was really cool. Like everybody was like using these coding tools, go with your vibe and build products. That was super interesting. Like you use tools like Cursor, things like um, Lovable, V0 from Vercel. So there are quite a few tools that are out there that you can sort of use general natural language, the way you speak to like a like normal human, and then use that to sort of build something out from AI. So Andre Karpathy, one of the leading AI researchers, have sort of coined this term. Like this tweet went viral after he coined this, tweeted this out, like saying this is called vibe coding. The idea here is like you don't necessarily spend too much time on reviewing the code. You just blindly trust in a way what these tools generate. And it has come to a point, as long as the products and tools that you're developing is within the mostly common tech stack, mostly common sort of the use cases, you can sort of trust these tools to build something that's working. Obviously, you need to be careful with security and sort of other areas that you need to before you get it to production, but you can get it to a working stage really fast with just with prompting. So that's the whole idea around vibe coding. So, and we'll sort of go in that sort of notion when you think about using these tools to build products. This is like the general sort of the sense for us. Um, so I mentioned about prompting. I think like the word prompting is predominantly the way that we interact with these tools, right? So you'll have one of the earlier products is ChatGPT that you use prompts. It's you ask the AI model to do something for you. So it's a conversation generally that you have with ChatGPT, but like it's evolved into a much complex tool that can do a lot more. Like it can generate like even applications, images, quite a few. You can connect like knowledge bases right now. So it has evolved into a much more sophisticated tool right now. But the general premise initially it was about like you write some instructions that you give to the AI tool so that it understands and do it for you. So that's what it's a prompt means, and you have extension of that is prompt engineering, where you write these instructions in a structured way so that the AI model that's behind the tool understand it in a much better way. Um, so the current systems tools have evolved a lot more right now, so that even you write something less accurate, less structured, it can sort of enhance your sort of prompt and sort of get something done. But still, it's very important that you understand how prompt engineering works, so that you have a better shot at getting what you build from these tools. So it's about like writing in a much more structured way, but also making sure that how the large language models sort of perceive these instructions, so that knowing that would help you sort of write better sort of instructions. That's what prompt engineering means, and understanding that helps you with app development much faster. So as usual, like Andre Karapathy is talking about like the next version of prompt engineering, which is called context engineering. So these are like just evolutions of how prompt from prompting to prompt engineering to context engineering, sort of how it moved on. Like so, generally, prompt engineering is around predominantly how we structure the instructions. Context engineering is how we structure the context itself. Like, can you sort of provide much more information, things like documentation, knowledge bases, other API sort of information that can help the your sort of interaction with your AI tool. So that's what context engineering means, and you engineer it in a way that it can sort of understand the context of your request and your application much better. So this is a very abstract, broad term. The idea is like going beyond just natural language instructions. You sort of provide more data sets, provide more API interaction for your AI tool to understand what the actual context of your sort of request is. So having that would help you write better prompts and like have better outcome from your app development. So that's what context engineering means. Don't have to like read too much into this, but it's good to understand how this evolves with time, just from natural language text to having like much more engineered approach, where you have much more structured sort of approach for these kind of interactions. So that's what context engineering means. So now we're going to focus on sort of where you can look at prompt engineering. So this is like from one of the diagrams from Lovable's sort of engineering sort of handbook. So you can think about three stages. I mean, this is not the only way that you can think about this, but you could think about as the first stage with training wheels, second with no training wheels, and then third is meta prompting, Fourth is meta plus feedback, which is you use the AI to sort of create prompts with the sort of mistakes that the system made, so that you have like better shot at restarting whenever you're building that tool again at somewhere. So we're going to a few examples here, but just these are some of the ways that you can prompt, so that you understand like to pick the right kind of prompting strategy for you at the right moment. Um, so what I mean by having training wheels, which is the first, like the initial way that you may start, is having a much more structured guideline for your prompts. For example, you would have something like sort of guideline for the LLM, like you'll say you are a world-class prompt engineer, and write me a prompt that will generate a full stack note-taking app with login, and break it down in the following sections. So you would have these kind of instructions in place, and you'll have these kind of guidelines, like we'll ask it to behave in this way, so that you get sort of a initial prompt that you can use to build your application. So I would probably go to somewhere like ChatGPT and ask it to like write this for me, and then you can use that to use something like Lovable, Cursor to actually build application. So you can tweak it afterwards. Like even if you look at Lovable right now, it tend to do something like this. It sort of look at your request and try to make this kind of a initial like the requirement documentation, I would say. Then you can use it to sort of guide the LLM to build it. Another way to build application is like without any kind of instructions. You start with initial instruction saying, okay, can you build me a note-taking app? So you'll build something, and then you can sort of layer in, like you say, could you change the color? Could you add login to this? Could you connect Supabase? So it is a much more natural interaction, and you can sort of slowly add different features to it. I think like for my sort of experience, I prefer that approach, but I think different people have different sort of approaches that work for them. Some may like to have like really sophisticated PRDs and knowledge bases, and where I prefer is like do this iterative feature improvement to the system, so that LLM is not too much text, so that it won't like go out of context windows, etc., so that you have different kinds of features, and you can sort of have versioning control. That means like you can save your specific version of your code base when it's at the right level of sort of performance that you require to have, so that you can sort of have this kind of layered approach. So I think that could be a preferred way, but like you'll see like when you start building, you'll find your own sort of approach for sort of prompting. Um, so just want to do a quick um, like few minutes if you guys have any specific questions. I know it's been a lot of theory, so I want to jump into building some stuff next, but I want to make sure that if what we discuss right now makes sense so far.
Yep,
Everything is good.
all good.
Amazing. All right. So we're gonna jump into building something right now. So we're gonna build a note-taking app with Lovable. So we're gonna try and start with a simple prompt and get that working, and we'll connect with Supabase, or we might try with the built-in database that Supabase has. So recently, like few months back, Supabase Lovable created their own sort of backend service. Before, what they did was they had their integration set up so that they connect Supabase to Lovable as so. Supabase is a tool that I would say it's a backend as a service. You have the database services that provides, you can like spin off like Postgres databases, and also vector databases as well. So in the backend, and also you can create edge functions, which are similar to Lambda function. It's like a script that you can sort of invoke to have the backend sort of performance that you need to have. So Lovable sort of took care of the front end piece, and the Supabase took care of the back end, sort of the logic piece, and you can connect any kind of a LLM endpoint as well via Supabase. But right now they provide Supabase, but at the same time they start building their own sort of backend service. So Lovable has both options. GitHub, this is if you haven't seen this before, GitHub is a very common tool in the software engineering sort of computer science background, where you sort of store code and do version controlling. So Git is a way that you can store different versions of your code base, and you can sort of do a lot more right now. So GitHub has automated testing. You can do integrations with CI/CD. So what that means is like, so if you do some changes, it can automatically get built and sent into your application automatically. So GitHub is not just for version controlling. It has a lot more sophisticated tools, but right now we'll try to use that as like a place to store our sort of the code base and sort of do edits, and if you need to sync the code with Laravel and back and forth. Um, so Supabase also has authentication service. So that means like if you need to have logging for your user for application, if you need to have users, you can use that, and you can easily sort of set it up using Lovable, sort of the prompting, sort of the chat interface. So yeah, I think like we'll try and build something together, and so while it's building, happy to take any questions because it could take a bit of time for it to build. Um, yeah, so this is what Lovable looks like. So if you go to lovable.dev, this is where so you can create a free account. I think I'm on a paid account if I'm not mistaken. But free account is more than sufficient to build something and test it out. So there are this is one of the options, but there are so many other tools out there to pick from. There's Vercels V0, Bolt, things like Replit, all kinds of serve the similar sort of the solve a similar problem where giving somebody who's non-technical, also technical, to build projects really fast using just prompting. Lovable is relatively, I would say like one of the leaders, like top three, like Replit is also good. But yeah, I think like Lovable is much more closer to somebody who's non-technical. So it's very, very easy to build things, and it's for you to like get from idea to product really fast. So a similar interface to ChatGPT. So you can ask it to build something, but it also gives you a lot of flexibility with how you interact with it. So you can sort of first chat with it. So that means that you don't directly ask you to build something. You sort of interact with it to ideate something. I'm gonna say. So I can ask something like this. Before I hit this, I want to like show the other sort of tools as well. So you can sort of use voice modes as much faster to interact with this tool, like similar to ChatGPT, rather than typing it in. You can set a theme already. So for example, if you have some sort of a theme in your mind, you can directly select the themes here, the color themes, etc. And you can also create your own theme. Go here, so you can play around with it. You can create a custom theme. So I think like, yeah, it's up to you to decide like how you want to. So if I go to colors, how do you say? Yeah, okay, if I change something, so you can see like how the components might look like. So there's a lot of flexibility from ground up to have this kind of control with Lovable. And yeah, there are typography sort of like features that you have, different types of feature effects like with shadow, etc. So anybody who wants to build like sophisticated UI, you have a lot more control here. If you're coming from a UX, a UI background, this is like a really nice place to play around with it. But my background is not that, so I'm not gonna like play too much with it. I'm gonna try and like, use what is given, and gonna try and yeah, use what Lovable suggests. It also helps you to like understand different integration that this has. So this gives you the flexibility of like either take screenshots, or you can have like connectors. So what that means is that you can have integrations to Lovable to other tools that you may want to use. So you can have Stripe enabled. So if you want to have a product that with payments, if you want to have clients pay on your website, very easy. Stripe will be automatically integrated, so that you can sort of just wipe code and build payment gateway onto your product very easily. So everything is in place. So Supabase is enabled. Shopify, if you have an e-commerce store, so you can build sort of with Shopify. And so this is what I mentioned earlier. So Lovable used to, they didn't have their own sort of backend service. Now, right now, they have Lovable Cloud for deployment and the backend services and the databases, and also Lovable AI. So what that means is like they have internally set up the the AI models, like that's like OpenAI, Claude sort of models, and it sort of like abstract it out so you don't have to manually set the keys, etc. So that you get these features on your sort of subscription, so you can sort of play around with it. But you can also integrate your own sort of endpoints if needed. But it's easy to build with these kind of tools. And you can have other integrations as well. Yeah, so N810 is one example. So that will expand a lot more sort of flexibility for you. Um, yeah, and yeah, yeah. The thing is like, sorry, the thing is like, so you can sort of add a screenshot here. So if you need to like, let's say, get inspiration from a specific style of development, so rather than typing it out, you can directly take a screenshot and get it to like follow that sort of style of development, I would say. Um, let's say if I go to something like Airbnb, let's see what it looks like. Let's say I like Airbnb style. I don't know like how this will turn out. So, let's see. Just I feel like okay, Airbnb is like relatively thought out UI UX. Screenshot. I'll just put it here. Um, follow the style inspiration from the screen. So so when you sort of go here to go to this development mode, and yes, you can enable notifications so that if you need to go and do something else, um, it will let you know when this build is finished. So in the meantime, it also shows like what sort of features Lovable has. So we'll go into some of these features in a bit. So the e-commerce feature, etc. So there's a lot more here. So right now, it sort of expanded on our sort of request and sort of came up with this feature set that you need to build um, similar to this, like so features for V1, create notes, etc. Display notes in a responsive card grid, delete favorite notes, search functionality, clean header with branding. So got some stuff. So right now, as you can see, it's sort of editing these files or automatically creating. So yeah, it seems to be picking up. Yeah, TypeScript. Um, so it will take a minute or so to build. And in the meantime, I can show like what are the other sort of features um, that you have. So similar to the initial chat, you'll have the chat interface, voice, and also another feature that we have is the visual edits. So when you have the application built, so you don't have to just type, you can do visual edits, like you go to visual edits mode. So for me to show this, I need to have something built already, but it lets you sort of click on the front end components and start edit them as you see fit. So that's what these visual edits means. Okay, so annotate. Yeah, this one. Um, and you could also see the code if you need to. Yeah, sorry, Santosh, got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think yeah, I think like with Laravel, there's some level of restriction like on the language that we can pick. So they have so either it's go to React or so TypeScript. So there are a few options there that the language that they pick. It's predominantly like a front end based solution. So back end, we don't have a lot of I would say control
Okay.
over this right now. So this is like one of the constraints around Laravel. So because like, it's trained on this specific set of languages, so it will start building based on those languages. But there's an option like if you want to focus on a specific type of language, I would focus on Cursor. So Cursor is like IDE that you can build these kind of applications. So what you can do is like either use something like allowable or easier to get the front end page working, and then sort of get it to a sort of a local download
Mm-hmm.
version, and then use cursor to edit that and get it to sort of a language that you like. Or you can start from cursor directly and get it to build from the language that you want. So depending on the tool set, like the the tool that you use, there are restrictions. So Replit would have much more flexibility, I would say, which is yeah, which is another tool that you can look at. And also there's Firebase Studio, um,
Yeah,
which is
from Google
Google's
Firebase.
one. So
Yeah,
it has a lot of languages as well. So yeah, I think like so as you can see, like they have like Python, Go, Flutter, a lot of options. So there are other
right.
options. But yeah, I think like depends on the tool that you pick also. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
So as you can see, we got like something very simple. So let's see if we so we got some ideas here, like it has tried to look like Airbnb. I mean, obviously it's not that level of quality, but like the colors at least, like the shape of the curves and things like that. So we can ask you to like add more images if needed, so you can do a lot more. But also let's check like if this works. So yeah, so things get added and I can delete them. So those all the features work, right? So um, now I want to try and see like, can I edit this? So I go to Visual Edit. So this is one of the features that has like, you're gonna do like a minor change. So starting the Visual Edit mode, and I can sort of go and like click and edit them. Um, Either I change it here, I can ask it to change it to dark, check to blue. Let's see if it works. Otherwise, you can manually change it as well. So it changed both of them. So like on a high level, it sort of manages to change that color. So if you have a specific type of preference, things like that, so you can change this. But you don't have to worry too much about it. You can just go to chat and just ask it to do that as well. So like if you want to be very precise of the change, you can do that. And the change is like small enough. Like if it's a text change, you don't have to like type it here. You can go to the code mode and you can figure out where to change it and sort of directly edit this. That's also a possibility. So you have the flexibility with the chat interface, or you have this like ID type interface that you can sort of get it to edit. So you can see all the code is there, HTML code is there, JavaScript is there. But if you want to be like bit adventures and want to play around with the code, you can do that. If the edit is simple enough, I would directly edit on the code, like a word name, etc. But if it's a complex edit, I'll go back to the chat interface and start building that, right? So that's the approach for something like Lovable, I would say. Now I'm gonna try and like see if we can sort of save this like with Supabase. So there are two options, obviously. Like we're gonna like try and see if we can do it Supabase. Yeah, I think yeah. Let's start with Supabase. Start with just saving to see if I can connect to Supabase. So Supabase, as I mentioned earlier, it's so well probably ask some yeah. Okay, so I'll enable our cloud. So it's promoting its product right now. We connect Supabase here, pushing me to see. Okay. So yeah, I think like they moved on from this previous feature. So but let's see. So if you need to connect to Supabase, I would right now do it. Get this code base locally and get it to use cursor to use the MCP server with the Supabase and get it to connect to Supabase. So if we got some time, I'll show that as well how to do that. But right now, let's use Lovable sort of approach. I'll let it run through. So it's so it as you can see. So this is it's sort of figuring out what sort of tables to make. So you create the SQL schema and all sort of things. It sort of came up with this. So it asks my permission for this before it ran it. So you have the type of table that you want to make. So you create like table called nodes, and then you set like row level security that is needed to give the right kind of access control for different values that you have on the table. And yeah, like user control and all sort of policies as well. So generally, you don't have to like look at this at the moment. I mean, it's not good software engineering practice, but like if you're getting to build a product really fast, you can assume it's going to get worked. And if it doesn't work, you can come back and sort of iterate on that. But this will get executed on the database. Um, so yeah, now I'll create authentication page. Yeah, so adding the authentication as well. Um, so it is adding all the the requirement to store the data and also the authentication service as well. So they've wrapped Supabase services within Lovable backend services, and then it gives us the ability to connect them very easily via the chat interface. So time until it sort of appears, I want to like touch base on Supabase, which is so this is the Supabase tool. I think like we'll go into detail next week. But the idea is like this is a service that helps you do a lot more with your applications. So what that means is like it gives you the Postgres database, so that if you need to have like the relational databases to store user information and store any kind of a like a information about your notes and any description, if you have a social media application, the comments and likes, all sort of information, you can store this with this database. And you got the authentication service so that you can have users on your application, and edge functions. This like helps you create much more sophisticated logical sort of functions in the backend. Like if you want to call like OpenAI, if you want to call agentic service, so you can sort of connect this from these edge functions. And you got storage like similar to S3 on AWS. You got storage to store files and all sort of information. And then so yeah, it helps you build like real-time sort of multiple experiences. I haven't used this much, but like this is one of the features. Vector store, like so if you want to have any kind of a AI sort of knowledge base, you can have that as well. So with the right kind of indexing and other sort of data APIs are there as well. So this is like a really sophisticated tool that like being used by a lot. I'm sure Dan used this as well. So on his products. So I think like um, yeah, I think like one of these tools like very I would say multi-purpose and like can be used in different kinds of application, whether it's AI or non-AI. So I think like predominantly it's a damn good product. So let's see if it is managed to do something. So let's see. I'm just checking the comments. Lovable Cloud is now connected. You know, Tabs now has database authentication sign out button. Let's see if this works. I'm not 100% sure. So let's sign up. To, I have the best password. Yeah, can't give 123 as the password. It seems saved it. So I managed to log in, so it automatically logged in. So you can create notes, etc. So right, so you'll have these sort of notes that we had earlier. So you can publish this as well. So you can sort of get a domain and sort of anybody who can access. So it has a security warning. Let's see. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Um, it is fine. Gonna try and so if you have like a domain purchase, you can sort of have that. Otherwise, you have something like this URL. Let's see. So 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 yeah. So the 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 logging works as well. So you can sort of publicly share this. Like this product is now usable by anyone in the internet. Your friends and family, you can share this very easily. So that's how we can build something really fast, and they use Supabase in the backend and just abstract it out for us. Um, but yeah, I think this is the you see, yeah, backend. So you have a lot of like the abstraction of this information. So you have the nodes table here, you have the users table here. So I've got the user information that I signed up, like that information is here. If you had like files stored, those are here. It's like a wrapper around Supabase service. Edge functions are, if you have any functions, you can have this, and if you have AI solutions, I'll enable AI. Let's say I want uh, I don't know, I want it to generate a quick plan about the using AI. Um, so I'm asking to like use AI. So like it will automatically pick a model for us, like in the backend, and have that AI feature enabled. So so it will now use the edge function to do this. And you'll see if you go to the sort of the cloud services before, you'll see that edge function is being added and still adding it. So the logging information, what we did, it's the let's see, it is the or then generate something. Um, Yeah, I think it generated it didn't uh, display that on the card. So I think the edge function is let's see. Anyways, I think like let it run. Yeah, so Dan asked the question, when we save the Supabase integrated code to GitHub, then import the project to Cursor, does the Supabase setup migrate into Cursor, or will there be features we need to set up again later in Cursor? So we probably need to set up the connection, but I think the tables that are generated and authentication setup, all those things will be automatically there. So you don't have to recreate that, but you got to make sure that like the connection piece is properly done. But that's the only thing. So we can sort of move to cursor and start editing that. So we don't have to redo that. So yeah, that's hope that answers the question. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think I mean left. Say yeah, something like it can sort of use AI automatically to sort of have that set up. So now that we have sort of AI poem generated, so in the back end, if you look at it, it is using. It's not properly showing up, but the idea is like it is using sort of the AI feature, which is on Supabase side to sort of generate this. I think this would get sort of updated in a bit. Um, yeah, I think it needs to refresh. Yeah. Think yeah, it's a syncing issue, but the idea here is that you can easily connect sort of AI features on top of this. So yeah. Yeah, let's go back to the slides. Think yeah, I think also yeah, Dan, go ahead. Yeah, I think like my sort of recommendation is to use Lovable to get the front end piece, the flows working, and then sort of move to Cursor. I'll do 80%, 90% of my development on Cursor rather than Lovable. So Lovable is for me, it's a tool to build a really good mockup so that I can have a conversation with my engineering team, other stakeholders in a much easier ways, rather than that being the actual production tool. So that's my sort of general sense because Cursor gives you a lot of flexibility, the MCP servers and other sort of integrations to build much faster and much more sophisticated sort of software. That's my sort of general sense. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's a good answer. No, that's great. Thank you.
yeah. So I think like the coming back to a bit more advanced prompting, we show this a bit in a way, I would say. So there are two different types of prompting that you can look at. So that's meta prompting. The idea here is that you don't write the prompt that you send to the LLM. You ask the LLM to write a prompt for you and edit that. So because LLMs tend to understand what the language LLMs understand, so because of that, it will create a relatively much better prompt. So you use AI's power to build write prompts which AI understands. So that's the concept behind meta prompting. It's been used heavily these days. So I prefer this as well. So reverse meta prompting, it's just a term. The idea here is that when you like hit certain issues, like so we didn't hit any issues right during the testing, but like when you hit issues, you have this stack trace in your sort of conversation. It's a long sort of conversation that you have with your LLM models. But you can sort of summarize those errors, and sort of create a detailed prompt, so you can use it for next time. So it depends on the type of use case, but it's just another way of looking at prompting where you sort of get the AI to sort of summarize it. So if you think about cursor, it's like when you have like these long conversations, they do this in a way, to a certain extent, because if the context window gets like the conversation like goes like 30, 40 conversation down, you start losing the context because the model, the you can't sort of compress the entire sort of the code base of the conversation into sort of like the next question that you're going to ask. So because that, it sort of looks at the conversation and summarizes that and get all the important information and store that, and that becomes the context. So it happens all the time when you have go through the conversations. So this happens with lot with like voice agents as well. So in the past, when the voice agents like go beyond 30 minutes, it tend to sort of hallucinate because it start losing the initial conversation point. So the way to get over that is that it starts summarizing the conversation as you go. Very similar ways that you sort of summarize the um, the errors, different types of sort of the design decision that you have, so that it is sort of summarized, and you can use that in your next conversation if you open a new chat window and do that. Um, yeah, cat no worries. So yeah, I think the next thing is to understand like to two types of LLMs, like in general, like you guys have seen these a lot. There's the traditional LLMs, like you just ask something and you get an answer, like ChatGPT initial models are like that. And then you have the reasoning models, which are quite good at sort of reasoning out, thinking through your question, and you have a thought process to give an answer. So you have the GPT or models, especially you have the reasoning models, they spend a bit of more time to give an answer. So it's important to understand the two versions of this model, so you can sort of pick and choose depending on your use case to pick the right model. So it's a really interesting article, like visualization as well, how these models work. I'll share the slide deck so you can check this guide. One of the folks that I follow on LinkedIn as well, is one of the really good instructors out there. So they've got a really nice documentation around like different types of LLMs. Like one of these is like the two distinction between the types of LLMs that helps you with the reasoning side of things. So if you have like a very complex task, I would go with the reasoning task and try and like figure out what's the best sort of architecture, what's the best sort of like the API design, things like that. So like use the power of like one of these like reasoning models for that. Um, I think like this is one way of looking at sort of prompting. And when it comes to if you have an idea, you probably figure out like what's the initial application you want to build. And this is like the process that you can take, but this is not the only way that you can develop applications. So you have this idea, like the established solution, and then you sort of build step by step, like as we did, like you keep ask it to like create these initial features, and then you integrate with Supabase or any kind of a backend for the data management piece, and also authentication, and you have that, and then use the chat model. Like we didn't use that much, like, but you can sort of ask the user chat model, as you see on Lovable side, you go to chat model and you can ask certain questions like about the tools that you're building, and so use that to like figure out if something is working, something is not working, and then you can create like reflective prompt like to store the conversation we had for like future use. But this is how the one of the ways that tend to work when you start building things on things like Lovable. The workflow on Curse is totally different. It's very much closer to general software engineering practices, but this is how you may use with something like Lovable when it comes to building and using those tools out there. Um, so I want to like touch base on some points. I think like we got like almost at the end. I think uh, yeah, I think the feature piece we covered already. So 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 I think like if you look at the large language model, like so I think like this sort of addresses what the question Santosh asked, where like what's the language, like depending on the language model that you pick and the prompting strategy that you use, it will decide like what sort of language to use. Like, so Lovable has trained on the specific set of languages, and if you look at even general GPT models, like if you ask something to build like a script, it may pick JavaScript, TypeScript, or maybe Python, which is like commonly used code base, right? So it's like it's a statistically so more relevant to build using those languages because that's where they've trained on. But you can sort of ask it to, okay, build it in Java, build it in like a very specific language. So you can ask it, but so it's important that you define those. Otherwise, it will pick the most common language out there. And as I mentioned earlier, it's helpful to like get a screenshot or set of screenshots or a design diagram to help you with the start with the styling, and it will help you to have the initial the designs things settle down before you start adding more features. And we didn't have this much the issue on like especially Lovable. So if you seem so stuck in Lovable, you can sort of open it up on like a separate browser, and you can see the stack the error messages pretty easily. And then you can sort of copy them back and add to the chat, and you can get fixed. So we didn't go into Supabase, but I think one of the things we'll look at next week is like building these row level security rules. So this is quite important, like when you have multiple users and you want to like make sure that the right kind of security in place so that the only each user's content is shown to them. So Supabase has this like so that you can have this row level security enabled. Sometimes it won't get triggered like when you ask the Supabase Lovable to build it. So you might have to go and manually check that. And then this is like the last point is around how LLMs interpret prompts. So it's very important that you have the most important features and guidelines at the top or the bottom of your prompt because LLMs tend to properly understand things at the beginning or at the end. So it's quite important that you have those things, the important like points regarding your sort of the application decisions at the top or at the beginning. Um, so the next set of things we sort of covered, but I want to like do a quick walkthrough of them, which is the features around Lovable. So Lovable has quite a few features. So we definitely don't have time to like go through all of them, but I want to like touch upon some of the features that will help you look at um, like build better sort of solutions for you. So there's some of the features out there, but I'll go through some of the interesting features. So one of them is a custom knowledge. So if you have specific type of design diagram, if you have specific coding guidelines, and also like let's say if you use a specific language, so you can have all these instructions on the knowledge base so that it will sort of follow those instructions. So you can set it and so it will you don't have to always um, instruct the LLM the allowable chat with those instructions, but this will be at the foundation level. This will act as probably like a system prompt, I would say, so that it knows like to follow these instructions. So use this. A lot of people use this one, but yeah. Other one is Figma to Lovable. So if you have like a Figma design, so if you have a app design, you can very easily pull that to Lovable. So you don't have to design it from scratch. If you have a design team who worked on Figma, you can get it to Lovable and ask it to build it here. Um, and then you have quite a few integrations. You got Stripe, if you need to have like payments, resend, if it's in emails, automations, like 11 Labs, if you need to have like voice inbuilt into it. So you have quite a few integrations out there with Lovable that you can sort of easily integrate and have them sort of set within your um, application. Visual edits, we look into this so I can sort of click and edit whatever on the UI. Um, yeah, I think we're almost at the end point. Yes, there's one more slide. Apologies for running a bit late. So there's this. I want to like cover this piece as well, which is around understanding the AI tools landscape, um, which is there are like thousands of applications out there. So like it's good to look at this from a high level high level view. So you have these AI tools. um, I sort of put them into like four brackets. There's a text to code and text to app, and there's text to website and AI design tools. But these things are starting to merge as you go. So like now Figma has their builder tool, like it's much more towards like text to app right now. So I think like things are getting merged, but like still, I think still this sort of view is relevant. So you have like things like a Cursor, Copilot, Codex, Gemini CLI that helps you to generate code. So this is predominantly for engineers like who have some level of coding background to generate code. So it will generally like speed up a developer's experience. So no code friendly. It is not the case. So you can generate the backend, and then so you may not have one-click deploy unless you set up the configurations right. But it's good for engineers to work on these things. Then there's text to app. You have lot more. Like you have the Lovable, the Bolt, Devin, Replit, all kinds of tools. And then so now like you got so here you would have anti-gravity as well, which is a like a windsurf wrapper from Google. It's also free to use. Test it out. It's quite cool. And then so the issue with text to app is like the flexibility side of things. Like you have different kinds of constraints around these tools. Like for example, Lovable may have not let you like use different languages beyond what they have. And then there's text to website, so you can use like from prompt you can build a website, but it's not interactive full stack type of application. And then there's AI design tools like Figma, Tempo, things like that, which helps you to like get the design out, but not necessarily the product itself. Figma is like evolving right now, I would say. But those are the like high level. So I think the main focus for us is the top two brackets, like looking into these text to app tools, and also a bit more into text to code as well with Cursor, etc. So when you see a new tool, see where this fits. I mean, there are like things like Nano as well. It's like utility applications, I would say. I'm quite useful, but like not necessarily for application development. But this is what the AI sort of the landscape for sort of the coding and the product application development side. But yeah, I think yeah, I went through the last bit a bit fast. Got a question from Dan. So for Lovable custom instructions, can you provide examples of what's best good practices for Lovable? Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Dan, 100% agree. So this like you can do a lot more than that. Like not just the design patterns. Like have like the way that you want the code to the variable naming conventions and all sort of things. You can have them in the custom instruction, so you have a lot more flexibility there. It's very similar to system prompts in the custom modes on Cursor, where you have these guidelines on your sort of chat interface. So yeah, I think like um, so I want to like sort of wrap it up today here. Just that's the week's assignment. So I'll sort of update Maven with this information. So you'll have this handy. So ideally, I want to try and I want you to try and build an application using Lovable and get it to production. And export it to GitHub. So that's another sort of task. We didn't show it today, but I'll just quickly show this option. I need to connect it. So you have the option here. So if you connect with your GitHub, it will so it will sort of automatically connect to GitHub, and then you can sort of download it to locally and using. So I'll have the code here. So all the codes are here. So you can download this and you can use it with Cursor. So hopefully you can do that as well. So the idea is to like build one of the like a journaling app, or if you have a personal idea that you're building, try and build that on Lovable. Don't need to just build what I'm saying. Would be fun to see what you building with your sort of experience. And then yeah, I mean if you are comfortable, put it on publicly on LinkedIn, wherever you are posting things. Really love to see that stuff, like because it's important not just like build stuff, learn stuff, but also like share it so that you build some But yeah, this is the task for next week. But happy to take some questions. I know like we have a lot more over time than we're supposed to. But if you guys have any questions, happy to sort of answer them. Everything's understood or nothing is understood. Yeah, then go ahead. Yeah, I think so. Maven has this. Let me quickly. So whenever you post something on Maven, I can let me try and open it. Yeah, so I think just trying to see. There's definitely a way for you to contact me, I think. So if you go to students, you should be able to. Um, yeah, for sure. But like there should be a channel, like if not, I'll create that. So like whenever you send a message on the student sort of the channels, I get an email, so that definitely, and also I'll share my WhatsApp. So like I'm happy to like answer any questions on WhatsApp. Like feel free to trouble me, like any questions you may have. If I'm up, I'll help you. So yeah, and there are
Okay.
the instructors as well, so I can sort of get them involved. Any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you.
Amazing. Right. Any other questions?
Okay.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, Teresa, yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So I think like yeah, there's I think like I mean if you can share the application, I can take a look at it. I think the idea is like you probably need to layer it in like so that you start with like main feature and add more features on top of that. I think like so you should be like going iteratively mostly. So you can put like a try and see if you can put like a full description, but like sometimes it tend to use context. Other thing is like if you're like build a much more sophisticated tool, probably best to use something like Cursor, which I'll go to detail next week, which is a coding tool that you can use, and it gives you a lot more flexibility on like adding the right kind of APIs, connecting with external sources, etc., so that you have a lot more flexibility. So Lovable is relatively good to get a good prototype out, and also like that's usable. I mean, there are businesses built on top of Lovable, like multiple million revenue businesses. Uh, you can do that. But I think I feel like much more comfortable building with Cursor. It's a very personal choice, but happy to sort of help you on your application here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dan, sorry, you got a question. Yeah, so what I would do is like depends on the scope document as well. I'm assuming like
Yeah.
I would use like a meta prompting approach here. Like you upload the thing to Claude and get it, ask it to like give a step-by-step prompt instruction so that you can sort of
Got it.
advanced features. I think that
Yep.
would be much easier rather than putting the entire thing because yeah, I think sounds good.
Thank you. Yep.